Welcome to UMBC Mic'd Up Podcast. My name is Denise Cardona from the Office of Professional Programs at UMBC, and I am joined by a fellow peer in the Learning and Performance Technology graduate program, Pat McMillan. And it's so wonderful to have you here, Pat. I'm so anxious to talk with you, so excited, I should say, to talk with you about your experience at UMBC with the program.
It's awesome to be here. Thanks so much for having me. I am very close to graduating. I graduate next week. I'm so excited. Yes, I've been in the program since about 2021, and I decided to go back to school during the pandemic. I thought this is a perfect time to go back. I was working from home, so I decided that I could just log on right after I completed work. And the program, I think, is awesome. I was able to go through it. It's very well paced for working adults. And I learned so much more about instructional design, performance improvement, and also professional development. And I didn't think I was going to get all of that out of this program, but it had so many different components and facets that I didn't even think of. I feel like I'm really ready now. Yep.
I love that. And I feel the same way. So I graduated in May from the Learning and Performance Technology
Awesome.
graduate program.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And you're graduating in next week, which is awesome, in December of 2023. For anybody who, well, this will be published in 2024. So you will have already graduated, Pat.
Yes.
Yeah. And I also started during the pandemic. I started in the fall semester of 2020 because I figured I need to do something to keep my brain occupied during this time. And yeah, the Learning and Performance Technology program is very appealing on so many levels. Can you talk about what motivated you to enroll in this specific program?
Actually, I was working in training, and I did that at my job for over 20 years. And I've been at just about every facets of training, curriculum development, documentation development, SOPs, trainer, senior trainer, the full 9 yards. And one day my manager, she had gone through the program, and she came to me and she handed me a flyer, and she said, "Here, look at this program. You should enroll in this." And I looked at it, I was like, "Oh, awesome." But she didn't realize that at the time I hadn't completed my bachelor's degree because I was still working on that. And this was a master's degree program. So that kind of put the seeds in my head. And I was really intrigued about the program the whole time I was going through my bachelor's degree program. I said, you know what? I'm going to check into that when I graduate. I'm going to go right into it. But I didn't. After I graduated, it's kind of hard working and going to school. So I needed some time to myself. So I took 5 years off, didn't expect to be off that long. And once I did get back in, I really researched this program. I researched other programs that were similar because I graduated from UMUC, and they were like really after me for their program, which is also good. But there was just something about this program that intrigued me a little bit more, because this program it didn't just teach you technology, it also focused on the learner. And it seemed more balanced. It seemed like there was a good balance of the adult learner components with technology. So I knew I would be getting everything I needed. So I was ready at that point. And this was definitely the program for me.
I love hearing that. And I can totally understand what you mean about needing some time off in between going for your bachelor's and then starting a master's program. And what's really intriguing about that is I am sure that there are listeners or viewers, if they're viewing this on YouTube, who may be on the fence about starting up a graduate program because they are working professionals and they're concerned about, gee, how am I going to fit a graduate program into my busy life? I'm already busy and maxed out. And I was feeling the same way before COVID hit. I wanted to do a graduate program for the longest time, but as a working professional, I shied away from it because I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to keep up. And during COVID, I was working full time still. obviously it afforded us opportunities to not have to commute. So we saved time there, and that could be dedicated to our work, to our graduate work. But what would you say to a prospective graduate student who is a working professional, who may be balancing a few different things and feels like, oh gosh, I don't have time in my schedule for this? What would you say to somebody like that? How did you do it? How did you balance it all?
I would say you really can do it. Just take your time, start off slow. I think a lot of times people are focused on how long a program takes, and there are some programs out there that are really fast, but I knew I couldn't do that. I knew I needed to pace myself. So I said I would start off with one class so I can just get a feel of being back into school. I can get a feel of this program. How fast does it go? And I can honestly say that this program is very well paced. There was enough time to complete my assignments. I didn't feel rushed. I wasn't always working. Some programs, they don't even really give you a spring break. You kind of work all the way through. But this program wasn't like that. You got a spring break. You didn't have things due at the wrong time. Some programs have things due during all the big holidays, like Easter, Mother's Day. There's always a big assignment, 4th of July. But this one, it didn't seem like that. That seemed like it was very well paced, organized. And I think the program is designed to be completed in at least 4 years. But I wanted to finish a little bit earlier. So I really wanted to finish in 2 years, but I was able to do it in 2.5. And once I got the hang of the one class, I started taking 2 classes at a time. And I said, you know what, I can do this. And there were times when that did get hectic for me, but because the program is so well paced, I was able to complete all of my assignments on time. Yeah, you can do it. Just pace yourself a little bit at a time until you get the hang of it.
Yeah, and it goes back to prioritizing things in life and realizing, I think it's knowing the motivation, like, why am I doing this? Am I enjoying this? And if you enjoy what you're learning and you enjoy applying what you're learning, you have a strong why, like, why am I doing this? Then you can prioritize things in life. You can juggle things around. I used to spend an enormous amount of time on social media, just scrolling through Instagram, looking at funny dog videos. And sometimes like a half an hour in the morning while I'm drinking my coffee and I'm scrolling through Instagram. And so I just started to learn how to take some of those things off my plate that weren't being productive and filling it with the things that would benefit me in the long run. So yeah, I think it's Mhm. Now, when you first enrolled in the program, you first started taking that first initial course, and then you started building upon that. What were some of the expectations that you had from the program, and maybe some concerns you had, and how did the experience compare to those initial thoughts?
I would say I really wanted to learn a lot about the adult learner, because with having a training background and seeing different types of learners in my classroom and not really understanding how everyone learns differently and what I could do differently to support people. So for me, that was a big thing to learn more about. And I didn't realize there were so many different learning theories out there that I had never heard of before. So, oh my goodness. And it's also rooted in psychology, a lot of the adult learning theories. So I wasn't aware of all of that. So it really opened me up to a lot of new experiences, even though I had experience in the classroom and experience at work, but just how the adult learning principles developed that really intrigued me. That was something that really helped me in the beginning. As far as challenges, I would just say just kind of staying on pace with the curriculum, figuring out which class to take next. I know there are core courses to take that are outlined for you, but just figuring out where to go next after your core courses, what really interests me next, and what else should I take. And my job, I was lucky, very fortunate. My job paid for all of my learning. So just making sure I got everything into them on time, because you had to show your class schedule within a certain time frame before the semester started, and just making sure everything was reimbursed. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay for all of this? That was another thing, just staying on schedule with that, my reimbursements, and making sure everything was paid. Oh yeah, that was pretty much it.
Awesome. What was one of the top takeaways that you had from the Learning and Performance Technology program that you believe is the most beneficial to your personal or professional development?
The UMBC Learning and Performance Technology program, it really helped me to see different facets of things that I can do on my job because of this experience, because I've always been interested in human resources development, and I didn't know we were going to explore that. But this program really does explore that. And organizational development, professional development, I think that's another area that really interests me. I haven't worked in it before, but having the knowing that I do have some skills now and some understanding of professional development, I think that will help me pursue another career and go down another path. And because initially I was just pursuing instructional design, but now I see there's a lot of different things I can do with this degree. And with the UMBC Learning and Performance Technology degree, a lot of people, when they asked me what was I majoring in, and I told them, they would just look at me with a blank look. What is that? I've never heard of that before. So I think what I'm learning is definitely groundbreaking, and it encompasses a lot of different things that can support an organization. And so that's definitely what a great takeaway for me.
Yeah, that sounds like a fantastic takeaway, to be able to realize that what you're studying isn't so niche that you can't do things with it. That's what I found too. I discovered parts of myself that I didn't even know existed through this program. And I started to present at conferences now. I never would have had the confidence to do that. But this program teaches you how to organize learning. And presentation is you're sharing knowledge with people. So they're going there, they're listening to a presentation to learn something. And if it's mandatory or voluntary, it doesn't matter. They're there to learn something. And so being able to learn how to organize, how to create a valuable learning experience for people, for me, upped my game and opened up new pathways for me too that I never even thought about before this program.
Exactly. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, in what ways do you feel the program has helped you succeed or prepared you for the challenges in your field currently?
Well, I would say the UMBC Performance and Technology program is, I learned a lot about return on investment with my last class with instructor David Rude. And I can see where we definitely can use that in my organization, because a lot of times we do things and we will implement a new program, and let's say a year later it's scrapped, or something just doesn't work out, or it's not performing the way it should. And I think that a lot of the skills we learned with the return on investment can teach you how to kind of show the value of a learning program and why a company needs to invest in it. So that is something that was awesome to learn. And that's a whole different arena.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So just getting that and knowledge was mind opening for me.
Being able to justify to an organization why this is valuable, why this training is valuable, why it's necessary. And if you can prove that through ROI, through data, that hardcore data that you cannot deny, data doesn't lie. And so being able to calculate that and express that to somebody in an organization, to prove the value of a learning experience is very powerful. And I love David Rudd. I had him for several classes too. He was fantastic. He's fantastic. He just has a way of engaging the classroom, everybody in it. And he's just down to earth and humble, and he just is full of knowledge. So he's a great addition to this wonderful faculty that helps to bring all of us students in the program to a new level. And so, yeah, he very powerful. Now, can you share what you are doing professionally? How are you applying these skills and all this knowledge that you acquired during the program in your current role?
Actually, today I'm a project manager, and a lot of what we focused on did touch on project management concepts as well. So I'm thinking through a lot of the things that I'm working on, the projects, and how using some of the skills that we learn and trying to apply them to my current projects. Some things like getting stakeholder buy-in, and how we did a lot of different types of reporting for leadership and executive levels, and just showing your worth in an organization and why what you're doing is so important and why that organization needs it. So I can apply a lot of that to what I'm doing now as a project manager, and vice versa. So I think project management is really a lot of that can be done within this program, because you're kind of managing a project when you're putting forth a new learning program. You have to kind of chunk it out and plan it and go through the full project life cycle. Yeah, so that's something that I'll definitely use.
Yes, project management is such an essential skill to everyday life, too, personally and professionally. Something funny that I did last year, it reminds me that I'm probably going to do the same thing this year. At the end of the year, I wrote out my learning objectives, really New Year's resolution objectives, but I created them like they were a set of learning objectives, and they were very concrete and very specific. And I learned that skill in the program, and it has changed my life on so many levels, professionally and personally. But I was able to lay out my New Year's desires in that kind of a format. And
I like that.
Yeah, I was able to check things off task by task. It was like project management for New Year's resolutions. And it was just planning for the future. And wow, that was really helpful. And I was able to accomplish most everything on that list. So I need to go through that practice again this year because it really worked.
Yeah, it reminds me of a design plan.
Yes.
How you have to kind of go through. And that's something that we touched on in the program as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm working now with an organization where I'm going to be a facilitator for a train the trainer program. And they have developed the entire thing, designed the entire program. And I'll be teaching it. And that's new for me, because typically I design, develop, and deliver all my stuff. And so this is a very different type of task that I'll be doing. And it'll be interesting. But it was so fun to see that the person who laid this out and organized everything, she's a UMBC graduate as well, an alum.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And anyway, she laid it out so well. Everything is so organized. I was blown away by the organization and how the project management of that entire training course was just from point A to point Z, really, just all the way out. Everything is so planned that I have, as a facilitator, no questions in my mind. I know exactly what I need to do. And that was really, I think she learned that from the program, because I know we learned that in the program, just learning how to design and develop training so that other people could just pick up and do it for us as a facilitator.
Yes, you can definitely spot a graduate from the Learning and Performance Technology program, because that was my former manager, and she was an awesome mentor. She knew training like no one else in the organization. And she just taught me so much. So, yeah.
hmm Now, can you share a specific moment or a project during the program that significantly impacted your approach to learning and performance technology?
Oh, wow. There were so many. I think maybe when we did the Captivate project, because, yeah, that was a big one. Woo.
Yes, it was.
And that's one of the great things about this program because you also get to explore technology. And right now, in this virtual world, we're doing so many e learnings, and just to be able to develop an e learning and to publish it, to me was awesome. It was quite a feat. You really have to learn that technology, and you're also applying your design skills. You're applying your knowledge of the adult learner. So everything you're doing, everything you learn really has to go into that. And you don't want to make it boring because it's something that people are going to go through self-paced. So you definitely want to make it very engaging, just picking out the fonts and knowing how to organize things on the page. That was a lot, as well as knowing how to do things for different types of people. Sometimes we need to have ADA compliance within our e-learnings as well. And yeah, that was an awesome project for me.
Yes, absolutely. I had fun with those classes. I took all three of the technology classes and I learned a lot. I really did. I was able to put together courses on self-paced courses on udemy.com and a writing course I put together from the knowledge that I gained from the initial class, the 602, the basic instructional design class to learn how to create a design plan and do the ADDIE model, all of that stuff. And then using the stuff we learned in the technology classes to be able to put that into something that's usable in a self-paced environment. Really just remarkable. This program is just filled with so many golden nuggets.
Yes. Oh, and I also did a learning. I don't know if you did that, but that's a really short micro learning.
Yes.
And it can be done in a matter of 2 minutes. So you have to figure out how to get a whole lot of information within that time and make it very engaging. And the technology is very easy to use. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Now, looking back at how do you feel about your decision to enroll in the program now that you are ready to graduate?
I am so happy that I went ahead with it because it took me a couple of years really to decide on going back. I just took so much time researching it and going on the website and reading up about it and looking at the videos that were out there and looking at other schools and comparing and contrasting and just figuring out what I wanted to do. Really, that was the biggest thing for me. Because I could have gone and most people get an MBA or something more standard or normal, but I decided to do this, which is something totally different, still groundbreaking. I'm really proud of that I had the courage to go forth and do it. I'm shocked that I'm finished now because it seems like I just started. So I'm shocked that I got through it so quickly. And I think I did an awesome job. I feel wonderful. I feel like a lot big accomplishment, huge. So yeah, anyone can do it.
I can't think of a better way to end this podcast episode than what you just said, because you just summed it up. And I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy. You are complete with the program next week, and you are just out there in the world doing great work as a result of it. And I'm so happy that I had the pleasure of working with you in some of these classes and being up there and learning from each other. It's just been a great journey, and I'm happy that you took it as well. Yeah, I wish you so much success.
Well, thank you. And you've done an excellent job too. This was an awesome interview.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everybody tuning into this episode of UMBC's Mic'd Up Podcast. If you'd like to learn more about our offerings, do a Google search for Learning and Performance Technology at UMBC, or simply click the link in the description.